So you're thinking about buying a condo in Denver? In this video, I'm gonna tell you about everything you need to know about buying a condo. I'm Angel, your Denver real estate agent, and this channel's all about Denver. So if you want to be in the loop about what's going on in the city, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. If you're thinking of buying a condo, you're probably thinking mostly on location. You don't have to worry about maintenance, snow removal, maintaining the pool. You probably want to have a gym at home. You just want a small space that you can call your own. There's some things that you gotta think about before buying the condo. What kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want a dog? Do you love eating out? Do you love going to events? Do you love going to bars? Or if you want it as an investment, do you want a long-term rental? Do you want a short-term rental? Condos can also be non-warrantable, but I'm going to talk about that later in the video. Buying a condo could make sense depending on the goals that you have. There are HOAs, and typically a lot of people don't do this math, but we're going to do it together. If you're paying $500 a month on your HOA, you're going to have a ton of restrictions. If instead you're buying a single family home and you take the same $500 you were going to give the HOA and you put it towards the loan, assuming you have an interest rate of 6%, you're going to be able to buy an additional $83,000 on your loan. Also, check with your lenders because typically condos have higher interest rates than single family homes. I mentioned I was going to talk about non-warrantable condos. Basically, there's certain criteria that the condos need to meet so that you can finance your condo on a regular conventional loan. And so here's how it would not apply. A high percentage of units are occupied by non-owners. The community allows for short-term rentals. A single person or entity owns more than 10% of the total number of units. The building owner or developer is involved in litigation of any kind. So what this means is that if you buy a condo that's warrantable today, it might not be warrantable in the future. If that happens, people are not going to be able to find financing for that condo, or they're going to find financing, but it's going to be way more expensive. So it's going to lower the value of your property. So be very careful with this. Also, with the HOA, if they're not good about keeping reserves, something can happen and then you're hit with the special assessment. So that's non-warrantable condos, but let's talk about other things you need to know. First of all, you need to have good credit. You gotta shoot for over 680. You can definitely buy one with lower credit, but it's gonna have a higher interest rate. You wanna determine the area where you wanna live. Currently, I'm working on a tool that's combining census data with property data so that you can easily do your research. So for example, if you want to live in a home that has 100% single family homes or 80% condos or whatever you want based on data, we can filter for those zip codes and neighborhoods, and so you can find your place faster. If you want access to the tool, book a Zoom call with me and we'll go over it together. I also have some videos on the most popular neighborhoods, so check those out. Another thing is you gotta make a budget. Lenders typically look at your debt to income ratio, so they basically take a look at how much payments you're paying every month and they compare that to how much you're making every month to come up with the pre-approval amount. The thing is, they don't take a look at anything else. If you like to go on vacations 6 times a year, 12 times a year, in order for you to maintain that lifestyle, we gotta buy at a price that's gonna make sense for you. If you just buy the pre-approved amount, you might have to lower your lifestyle. You gotta know closing costs. It's not just your down payment, but there's also closing costs. So there is title insurance and also registration fees. These are gonna be typically $5,000 to $8,000. It's gonna depend on the purchase price of the property. Now, if you wanna buy points to lower your interest rate, that's gonna be a separate expense. Also, just a quick note, you gotta prepay for the interest on the month where you closed. And your first payment's not gonna be until 30 days after you lived in the home. In other words, if you close on January 5th, you're gonna pay the interest through January 31st. You're not gonna have a payment in February, and your first payment is in March 1st. On the other hand, if you close your home on December 30th, you're gonna prepay the interest through December 31st. You're not gonna pay for January, and your first payment's February 1st. So by closing 5 days later, you basically gave yourself 1 month where you're not making any payments. Take advantage of that. The seller can help you pay for closing costs. At this time in 2023, a lot of sellers are struggling and they're giving incentives so that people would buy their homes. So they're offering to buy down your rate. They're offering to cover for closing costs. So definitely take advantage of that. There's some low down payment options. There's programs where you come with no money out of pocket. There's programs with $1,000 out of pocket. There's programs that have grants. There's programs that have a second lien position that you're not paying anything into it, and then in the future they transfer to a grant so you don't pay for it. It's important to have a good lender that understands all the options and can advise you. Depending on the loan that you're using, you're probably going to have to escrow for taxes and insurance. So what this means is that instead of you paying property taxes and insurance directly, you would pay the lender, and then the lender is going to take care of those payments for you. Typically, they require 3 to 6 months of reserves, and that would be paid at closing. Now, what we've talked so far talks about everything you need to know before we start house hunting. Now the fun begins. The first thing is you gotta hire a realtor, and I know a really good one. The seller typically pays for the realtor, so there is no reason why you should be unrepresented.
But Angel, I found a house in Zillow and I want to talk directly with the listing agent.
Well, you can do that, but the thing is, the listing agent, they probably have a relationship with the seller. They probably want their best interest in mind. Not only that, but maybe the seller is selling that home and buying another one. So who do you think they want to make happier? I'm not saying people can't be intermediaries. They definitely can. Just be careful with that. As an agent, we'll sit together and we're going to go over what's important for you. Is it location, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, schools, whatever it's important. We're going to make a custom search for your criteria, and then we're only going to look at those homes. Next, we're going to put in an offer. Typically, I don't recommend lowballing a seller if they have been on the market for 4 days or a week, because two things can happen. One, we're going to piss off the seller and they don't want to hear from us again. Or two, they're going to probably take the offer, but if the agent's good, what they're going to do is they're going to take that offer and they're going to ask all the other agents if they have anything higher. So it doesn't put us in a good position. Now, if the property has been on the market for a while, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Worst thing they can say is no. Once we're under contract, there's a few things that happen. First, we got to put the earnest money deposit. This is typically no less than 1% of the purchase price. You're going to put that with the title company. The title company is going to start title work. And basically, they're going to ensure that the seller is who he says he is, and they have the ability to sell that property to you. They also take a look at the liens on the house and make sure those are clear before close so that when you buy the home, it is free and clear of other liens. After that's done, then we're going to get an inspection. In Colorado, you want a general inspection, you want a sewer inspection, and you want a radon inspection. About 50% of the homes in Colorado have radons recommended by the EPA. And I'm not trying to scare you. There is some radon mitigation systems that you can just install in your home and you'll be fine. Depending on what the inspectors are saying, we might need to engage some more professionals. Maybe a foundation repair guy, an electrician, a plumber, a roofer, or other professionals, so that we can take a look at how much it would cost to fix whatever's wrong with the house. All of this is going to cost from $400 to $800 to get the initial inspections. If we need more, then it's going to cost a little bit more. This is going to be non-refundable even if the deal falls through. Once we have the information from all these professionals, then we're going to get back to the seller. We're going to try to negotiate for them to do some repairs, or if they can give us a seller credit. After the inspection period is over, then we're going to do an appraisal. Basically, the lender has to make sure that the value of the home makes sense compared with the loan that they're going to give you. If the appraisal comes in lower than the purchase price, then we're going to have the last opportunity to negotiate with the seller. And basically, there's 3 things that can happen now. 1, the seller can come down in price. 2, you can come in with a higher down payment. Or 3, a combination of the 2. Now, once we're done with that, we're going to have the final walkthrough a few days or maybe even the day of closing. And we're going to make sure that everything that needed to be in the house is in the house. If there's something missing that's supposed to be there, there's 3 courses of actions. 1, we can have the seller put it back. 2, we can hold some money in escrow that the title company will not release to the seller until that's put back. Or 3, we can ask for a seller concession. Do not close on the property if none of these were done. It's really hard to get a hold of the seller after closing. Let me know in the comments if you think this was helpful or if there is anything else you want to know about buying a condo. As I mentioned, I'm Angel, your Denver real estate agent. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.